It's the Rangers Journal now.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Rangers Journal podcast. I'm Scotty, your host, and I'm delighted to be joined by Doug, who's here to give me some thoughts on the pre-match game against Dundee today. Doug, how you doing?
I'm not too bad, thanks. Yourself?
Aye, not bad at all, not bad at all. Do you have a team sheet there at all, Doug?
I do.
So, Rangers starting 11 today is Jack Butland in goal, Max Aarons, Giga, John Suter, Jeff Day left back, Joe Rothwell, Diamande, Max Cameron, Gassama, Ant-Man and Dessel up front. Doug, what's your initial thoughts, mate?
Yeah, I'm pretty pleased. I think I like to see consistency. I think it's important at the beginning of the season to try and play the same kind of team as often as possible. Let the players get to know one another and build those understandings and things like that. So I think it's good that we've been able to play, the same team. Because it's not something we've always been able to do with our injury problems and everything else over the last couple of years. Playing similar teams is not always something that we're doing. I think it is something that helps you win.
Aye, definitely, mate. Definitely. There's nothing in amongst all that I can disagree with. Looking among the subs, James Tavernier, Oscar Cortez, Connor Barron, Kieran Dowell, Emmanuel Fernandez, Nico Raskin, Curtis and Danilo. Any surprises amongst that for you?
No, I don't think so. Again, I think that's been the similar kind of bench that we've had for most matches. Yeah, as I say, most of the players there are players I'd expect to see. Obviously, we're hoping to see more as soon as possible, but all that stuff's still going on. I think you said in the pre-match presser as well that it may actually just end up being when he hits 18 and then he can just play, which I think is 7 days away. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, it's a reasonably decent bench. Obviously, players like Raskin, Curtis that can come on and do a turn if we need them.
Just quickly see at right back, obviously, headline is going to be Max Aaron starting again over James Tavernier. The different types of passes that we're getting played into midfield from and forward, most importantly down the right wing on midweek via Max Aaron's. You says on the pod the other night about a level of predictability from Tavernier because of his types of passing and his range of passing stuff. Do you think that comes into Russell Martin's thinking in this for this game today?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think obviously, Russell Martin's got a very particular way of playing, and he's brought players in, presumably he thinks will be able to administer the system that he wants. So Aaron's presumably fits the mold that he is looking for in his fullback. It's going to be something that people will need to get used to this season. I think definitely is the team having less of James Tavernier in it. It's been coming for a good 2 years. I think Clermont did try to start the phase out last season, but injuries got in the way of doing it. So obviously Aarons is here now, and he can try and do the job that Martins is looking for, and that is going to bring new things. I commented as well after I think it was after the Panathinaikos game. We're seeing different people taking corners now as well. Obviously, Dessers took the penalty against Pleasant, so we're going to start to see differences as all these things are taken up, and that's a good thing because we've been, as I say, we've been overly reliant on James Tavernier for way more years than we should have been. It's always good to have a great player like that who can do loads of good stuff, but our feeling is that we've not had other players that have also been able to back that up because Tavernier can't save the day all the time, and in particular when he's in decline, he can't do it. So we're finally seeing now quality sprinkled around the pitch, players like Cameron there, Gassama, Ant-Man, who look like these are players that are going to bring quality in and be able to do those things that we've been missing from the other areas of the squad.
obviously staying with centre backs and defenders. John Suter and Giga at back stay there for continuity. I'm quite happy that Jeff Day's still in there at left back. Provides the width and balance that's really needed for this style of play for Russell Martin, doesn't he?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been saying recently, I kind of was feeling that Jeff Day was getting a little bit hard done by. It kind of felt like we started the season. I know people have had issues with Jeff Day, and you know, I'm included in that. I've criticised his output in the past. But I do think he's a good young player, and he does bring something to the team. And again, he's one of another player that we've had that is fit like all the time. You know, he played the most minutes after Tavernier last season, so he's fit all the time, which is a great thing to have. And I kind of felt like he was starting to get a little bit hard done by. It was almost as if because Russell Martin had left him out, I felt like it amplified all the critical voices of him. And suddenly we were talking about him. A lot of people seemed to be talking about him like he was totally useless. And it was a foregone conclusion we'd be getting rid of him and bringing someone in new. When I think he is still a player that we can build up and work into that transfer model. And that, you know, like you say, apparently had Chelsea interested in him. If big teams like that are interested in him, then, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be a Chelsea that buys him. It could be someone, you know, a bit smaller than that we can still make good money on. So we didn't spend a fortune bringing them in. So it's good to see him. Like you say, it helps to bring that balance to the team. He offers something as well that, you know, not a lot of other players do, and that he's very, very fast, and he's really good at carrying the ball. Now we do have more players now, sort of Gasma Antman, that can also do that. And so I think, you know, that helps, and that's a potent thing. When you've got multiple players that can do it. I noticed it straight away when he came on in the Panathinaikos game when we went to the back five. You know, immediately he's like running and making those overlaps and things like that. So that's things that you can get from Jeff Day that we weren't getting from Aaron's, because I think that's a little less of his game. He seems a little bit more. He does seem a little bit more like Tavernier, and that he seems to prefer to pass the ball out rather than necessarily run with it. And he doesn't seem like he's quite got the same pace as Jeff Day. So it's good to have that as an option from one of the sides, so the fullbacks.
Aye, definitely, mate, definitely. Moved into midfield, Joe Rothwell, Diamande and Cameron. I'm a wee bit surprised at Diamande retaining his place. I can see why he's there, but I thought that Nico Raskin might have come in just for some minutes, just to mix up the midfield a wee bit. What's your thoughts on that?
Unless there's a strong reason to, then as I say, I like that we're going with the continuity. As I say, these guys, this team as a whole played excellently against Victoria Pleasant, and as I say again, we want to see those performances in our domestic games, because that's what we've not been getting in recent years. So this is an opportunity, you know, for the team to go out and put a marker down and say, you know, we don't just perform in Europe, we can perform domestically as well, against a team that, you know, is down on their luck a little bit at the moment. They've not had the best start to the season. They're not a great creative force, and I think they will be sort of. I think they will hunker in and defend. So, you know, it will be a good test of the system, a good test of our creative players. And as I say, if we can go out and put in another strong performance, again, it'll be another shoot that people can grasp onto and say, you know what, we're going somewhere, we're building to something. So even if it's a struggle and it's a 1-0 rather than like a 3-0, if we see those shoots, that's what will keep fans on board for longer and give Russell Martin the time to continue building and making the team that he wants.
To me, it just casts further doubt into Nico Raskin's future as a Rangers player, playing a guy that, don't know. You go into a group chat and you speak about, you say the name Mo Diamande, and it's as if you just drop a bomb. The difference in opinion with everybody on him, it's half the group chat say that he's a level above, and half the group chat say that he doesn't offer enough. Some folk say a lot worse than that. Moving on to the wingers, I've got absolutely no qualms with Ant-Man Gassama. In fact, I'm going to stick a bet on as soon as this is done that Ant-Man's going to get another assist today and Gassama is going to get another goal. What's your thoughts, Doug?
Yeah, that would be absolutely perfect, to be honest. Just one final point on the midfield. Like you said, you know, we've got people that think Diamandi's great. We've got people that think he's not so great. I'm kind of in the middle. Like, I think he's good at times. I think he's useful. He's a decent player. But one thing that I've said early doors was that I thought Cameron could nick his place because I'm a big Cameron fan. But what I wonder is, because we've got Rothwell, who's clearly Martin's man. Obviously, he's the one that was bought by Martin in that sitting role, and that's where Raskin is best. And Raskin wasn't performing in that he wasn't performing as well in that more advanced role. It maybe is a case of Raskin might be the better player than Diomande, but Diomande might be better in the system as a whole, and that might be what he's going with. But yeah, in terms of the wingers, to say, both exciting players. I think we'll see exciting things from both of them. Absolutely right to be sticking a bet on there. I think, as I say, Gassama's obviously come in, blown us all away with goal scoring. I was looking at it the other day, and if he continued to score at this rate, which is highly unlikely he will, but if he did, he'd end up with 98 goals over a 58-game season. So, that'd be lovely. But yeah, like you say, you've got someone there Gassama, who loves to score goals. We were told that when he came in. He's not so much one for setting ones up, but he loves scoring goals. And then you've got Ant-Man, who's coming in with this record of amazing levels of assists in the Eredivisie. It's a match made in heaven, really. You've got one on one side who is loving to cross, and the other one who wants to score. So let's hope we're sitting here at the end of the season, raising a title, going, look at how those two combined for all of those goals and assists.
I completely agree. We've not had a goal scoring winger and an assist king, and which Ant-Man was called in Holland, by the way, for I can't remember the last time we had. You think even as far back as Walter last being in charge, and Lafferty and stuff playing left mid, and Lee McCulloch and everybody else getting shoehorned into different positions and stuff. And Christ, that's going back now. We've said Diamande in the comments have really picked up on the topic about Raskin and Diamande. I think we'll maybe do a pod on that next week. We'll do a wee deep dive into Y-Scout and Nico Raskin and Diamande, and maybe do a wee comparison about who should play where and look at them together, and we'll come up with something on that one, guys, because I think it's a subject that we could really get tucked into. Diamande, for me, needs to produce more domestically. He's a 10 out of 10 in Europe and against Celtic, but against your Motherwells, Hibs, Hearts, Aberdeens, St Mirrens, Dundee's, he needs to start producing. He doesn't produce enough for me. That's the issue with Mohamed Diamande. He's got loads and loads of quality, he just doesn't turn up enough. Last season, actually, when at Tannadice away, I think we were 1-0 down going into half time, and he was getting flung about half of the Dundee United players, and I think there was one he scored just before half time, if I remember rightly. And he gets the ball and he gets a wee bit physical back by Dundee United players, and he pings one in the bottom corner. That's the Mo Diamande we need to see in this league, and that's the Mo Diamande that's going to get him a big move, etc. So we need to see Marriott for me. Doug, up front, Cyril Dessers, are you happy with that, or would you have brought Danilo in like Russell Martin? I've done a wee bit of digging this week. He likes to change it up with his front men. Are you happy with Dessers carrying on?
Yeah, absolutely. I just have to say, by the way, Curry, that's an amazing shout with Scatman for a Gasman song. I'm 100% behind that. I've never agreed with you more about anything. Yeah, I'm totally on board with Dessers. Dessers was excellent against Pleasant. I mean, I've by and large been a Dessers fan on the whole. As I say, he's a striker that scores goals, and that's the number one thing a striker is to do. People talk about, a goalie's job is to save them. Tavernier's job should be to defend. Well, Dessers' job is to score goals, and he scores goals. He might take a few more. He might take a few more chances than we'd like occasionally to do it, but he does do it, and he does. Last season, I was at pains multiple times to talk about how he'd improved a lot of his metrics from the first year. He missed less big chances. His conversion rate did go up a bit, and he scored more. He scored more goals overall. So we know that we can get a job out of him, and if Russell Martin can get this extra level of build-up play and hold-up play from him, then that only improves him even more. Having players like Ant-Man and Gassama closer to him, and then players like Cameron coming, making runs, and being closer to him, I think will help and do a power of good, because he did get isolated quite a lot under Clement, which, I think led to him getting frustrated. You saw him get frustrated quite a lot last season when he was having to fight for balls, and he sometimes he felt like he kind of defaulted to just throwing himself to the floors, rather than staying on his feet and trying to win free kicks, and he didn't really get a huge amount of joy from it. So hopefully that does well. As I say, it's kind of gone a bit quiet on the striker front. The links from us to other strikers have gone quiet, and the links from outwards to us have gone a bit quiet. So while that happens, I think Dessers remains kind of the main man with Egerman out. We'll need to see how he does with Russell Martin's system when he does get eventually back. He's meant to be back hopefully soon, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, perfectly happy with Dessers, and won't surprise me at all if he scores a goal or two today.
I'm firmly on board. With that. So onto the subs quickly. I can see do something a bit different today, Doug. I want to pick one player to come off the bench and play a prominent role, get some decent minutes, and another couple of subs. Just if you were Russell Martin, how would you manage your subs today, basically?
I'd be bringing Curtis on at some point. So I think just to give one of the guys on the wing a little bit of a rest going into the next European game. Although we're fairly comfortable, I still want us to have good players out there. Pleasant will have to come at us, and I think we'll get opportunities to score on the counter attack. And so I think our wingers will be important. So maybe after about 60 minutes, we bring off Gassama or Ant-Man, put Curtis on, give him the opportunity to do something there. The only downside is if I was going to bring them both off, that kind of would suggest you'd have to bring on Dowell, and I don't think anyone wants to see that. But if we're 3 or 4-0 up, then I don't mind Dowell coming on then, if it's to save others for something. But yeah, the main one I'd like to see coming on is Curtis, to see him continue to develop. I do, Russell Martin does seem like, and I've read that he is meant to be good at playing younger players. He's obviously brought in Mikey Moore, who's a young guy as well. So I'm hoping that Curtis is going to get minutes throughout the year if he's not going to go out on loan. And then I suppose you could maybe put Cortez into that list. Actually, I've just totally blanked Cortez there. Ignore what I said about Dowell. Bring Cortez on. And give him some minutes, because again, he's kind of becoming the forgotten man. We've got our 2 shiny new wingers in, but again, if we're not going to have Cortez out on loan, then we need to give him minutes to try and build him up, and see what he can do. I thought he did okay without, he wasn't amazing in the preseason games, but I thought he did okay. He showed some decent defensive work. Obviously, he did get an assist at one point as well. So again, we've spent money on him, so try and get something out of him.
Definitely. For me, I think it's probably we'll be about 3-4 up, but I think Danilo will come on, maybe Grabby sell a goal. I think Fernandez is going to get some game time today. I think it's badly needed. I'd quite like to see him getting some game time on the park. Probably Cortez getting some game time. I think Ant-Man will get taken off, rested, maybe Gassama as well. Raskin will come in for one of the midfield 3. It'll be interesting to see who Raskin comes on for, whether it's Rothwell or Lyle Cameron, by the way, just to fix my error from at the beginning of the pod when I called him Max Cameron. I'm not long up, I'm very tired today. So that's what I would go for. My score predictions, I'm going for 5-0 today. Doug, what about you?
I predicted 3-0 no load in, so I'll stick with that.
You're going for 3, I'm going for 5. So, everybody, thank you for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, please like the video and subscribe. We'll be back post-match. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you after the game for the post-match reaction. Cheers.